to the first episode of Orange is the New Black. It's your boy Ace Boogie. I'm here with my co-host Zim WhoDey. Zim, tell the people what's going on.
Nothing much, man. Just excited. We're getting closer and closer to the start of the season. We're filming this like on a Sunday right before preseason week number 4. So if you guys are paying attention, we got a lot of things going on, and the roster is now developing.
And basically, like Zim touched on, right now, the roster is developing. And with this episode, we kind of wanted to kick things off with our prediction of the 53-man roster. So getting into that, for my side of things, Zim, do you want me to go through every single position and say who I have, or how do you want me to do it?
Yeah, let's just go start from the top. Go quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. We're gonna go through the line and then we'll go to the defense. Let's start out from quarterback. What do you got on your 53?
Right now at quarterback, it was tough for me to keep my guy Jake Delaga off of this, but for right now, I've got Andy Dalton and Ryan Finley. Jeff Driscoll didn't even play last game. He's switching positions, so for me, that spells that he's not a lock to make this roster. I'm keeping two quarterbacks, there. Where do you have the quarterback room looking like, Zim?
I got Dalton and Finley, and then Jake Delagala as the practice squad. He's a typical prototypical practice squad candidate. So Jake is going to go on the practice squad. Driscoll, I think he's going to absolutely just be cut, and I don't see them retaining him at all.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I think Jake is definitely a strong candidate for the practice squad. It's going to be interesting because with this last game, he's expected to play a lot. So I hope another team doesn't end up stealing him away from us or signing him off of our practice squad. But the next position is pretty easy for me, pretty straightforward. The running back position, I have them keeping 4. Joe Mixon, Giovanni Bernard, Rodney Anderson, Trevion Williams. What about you, Zim?
Same. You got, and then we'll take on the practice squad. We're gonna go with my guy. God damn it, I don't have my notes in front of me. But what's the quarterback turn running back?
Quentin Flowers.
Quentin Flowers, and maybe Ellis is the thing to look at. I don't know which one of those guys will make the practice squad, or if. Sometimes the logistics on it, I don't know if some of these guys are not even practice squad eligible anymore. So Flowers and Ellis is very interesting to me. But I would love to get Quentin Flowers on the practice squad. Ellis is a good sized back. Has no agility that I think translates to the NFL. But he's going to get a lot of touches in this game coming up, so he could probably get picked up off of waivers from somebody.
Yep. So after that, let's stick with the skill positions. And I'm going to go to the tight end position. This one for me was pretty straightforward. I have it as C.J. Uzomah, Tyler Eifert, and Drew Sample. Zim, how do you see that tight end room shaping up?
Same thing with me. I got, Eifert, Sample. Uzomah number 1, Eifert, and Sample. And then practice squad, we're going to go with Mason Schreck again.
Okay, I like that.
But you know what's so crazy though? Jordan Franks though is the most athletic out of all of them. So I don't know if this is a Jordan Franks versus Mason Schreck game coming up in preseason week 4. But the crazy thing is, like you said, if these guys perform, I see no way for Jordan Franks not getting picked up off of waivers. It's so many teams that could use an athletic tight end like that.
Right.
And then Mason Schreck though, I do see him easily going to practice squad because he's he's in the Bengals farm system, so they're just building him up. He had a big play in preseason week 3 as well.
Right, agreed. Keeping it with the pass catchers, I'm going to move on to wide receiver. Obviously, I think Damian Willis is a lock. I mean, today it was saying that he's going to start in place of A.J. Green for Seattle. I've also got Josh Malone. I've got A.J. Green, of course, who has the count, I believe, against the roster initially if they keep him on. John Ross, obviously. Auden Tate, I think, is also a lock. Tyler Boyd's obviously a lock. And I have Alex Erickson. Zim, does your wide receiver room look any different over there?
It looks very similar to that. Cody Core, where do you have him?
I have Cody Core as a cut.
And see, that's the problem I think I got, where yours seems very simple. From a fan's perspective, neither one of us want Cody Core, and not too many people care too much about Josh Malone. Everybody knows Damian Willis is now taking that spot. Auden Tate, the only reason that makes me feel like Auden Tate is a lot is because when he just barely banged up his knee, it was a statement that came out. I want to say it was Zach Taylor, but he said, yeah, precautionary. We're trying to keep him fresh. He wouldn't say something like that if he wasn't going to be on the 53-man roster.
Right.
But Cody Core is such a special teams. I wouldn't even call him an ace, but he's so heavily relied on from a special teams perspective. I have a hard time just seeing them cut him, but I guess I'm just living in the old Bengals regime, and I'm not thinking about currently right now. He came out today and said Damian Willis is starting as the number 1 over AJ Green, which is a strong, strong statement, because he's pretty much telling you, I don't care what you guys have done before. If your talent is there and you've shown out, then we're going to play you and you earned your spot. And with that said, that would mean Cody Core would be cut. But to me, it's Cody Core versus Auden Tate for that last spot. And it's really tough. Really tough. Because Willis would have been on that last spot range, I guess. But once they said that he got out, he's the number 1. It's now Willis. Another a guy that I really would love to see too. Because do you have them carrying 7 or 8?
I have them carrying 7. So if you were
say you carry 8, you would go with Stanley Morgan as well, or you will put him up against Core.
I think if it came down between going 8 or 7, I think I would side with the Cody Core on the 8, just because, like you said, he has that special teams contribution and the value that he brings there. I think that he would have the slight edge, and I know Stanley Morgan had an injury that kept him out last week, so that kind of, in a sense, hurt his stock a little bit. So I think that would give him the edge, or that would give Core the edge over him if that were the case.
Agreed.
Okay, so let's see. So just to get, so you're gonna keep 8 at the wide receiver position?
I think they're gonna go 7, only because later on in the roster, from the offensive line standpoint,
right,
I think they got to keep a extra guy, and that's gonna not allow them to keep 8. And then also, it's just not enough balls to go around. The only reason why I can see them keeping 8 is from a special teams perspective, but I think the linebackers are going to dictate those extra special teams spots.
Gotcha. Okay, good segue into the lineman talk. So I have them. This one was tough for me, right? Because there's been rumors that they could possibly keep Jonah on the 53 and then put him on the IR with the designation to come back. Initially, I had Jonah making it, but after going through the full process, I actually have Jonah being put on IR before the season, so I don't have Jonah making my 53. I've got Cordy Glenn, Andre Smith, Michael Jordan, who was announced as the starter today, John Jerry. I went back and forth on Christian Westerman. I'm part of the Westerman hive, but I really wondered what his semi-retirement, quote-unquote, claim was going to do to his roster spot, but I have him making it. Trey Hopkins I have making it. Billy Price I have making it. John Miller I have making it. And I'm ending with Bobby Hart. I just don't think the Dugas kid did enough for us to keep him around. Zim, what are your thoughts on the offensive line?
So, hold on, you think that Bobby Hart is the cut?
No. Bobby Hart is the last guy that I have. I think that Dugas gets cut, and there's a couple other guys that get cut. But for right now, I have Cordy Glenn, Andre Smith, Michael Jordan, John Jerry, Christian Westerman, Trey Hopkins, Billy Price, John Miller, and Bobby Hart.
Yeah, I got the same. Westerman, I think because of his early retirement scare or whatever, he'll be. See, this is the thing, though. I don't know how that stuff goes with the practice squad. Some of these guys that have been on an active roster, you can't just get them on the practice squad.
Right.
So if I knew that part of it, then I'll probably say what I think about Westerman, because he does play a part. But yeah, those are the guys. So what is that, 8 that you're carrying?
That's 9 that I have right there, which I think that's pretty solid.
And see, the reason in the 9 right there, and then when we get to the linebackers, the reason why there's no way that they can carry 8 wide receivers.
Right, exactly. And then, like, for me, if they were to keep a 10th offensive lineman, it's Jonah Williams. It's nobody else in my eyes. I feel like if you keep that 10th lineman, it has to be Jonah Williams with the designation for him to return. But I just feel like you've mentioned with other positions, I don't know if they can afford to carry him at least past this to make that possible. So, if I'm not mistaken, that wraps up our offensive side of the ball. Now we shift to defense. And I'm going to start on the defensive line. I've got them keeping Carlos Dunlap. I've got Jordan Willis making it. I've got Kerry Wynn making it. Andrew Billings, Rennell Wren, Geno Atkins, Ryan Glasgow, Sam Hubbard, Carl Lawson, and Andrew Brown. Zim, do you have anything different, or is it the same?
The only difference that I believe I have, let me take a look at my notes here. The only difference that I have is the Rennell Wren one.
Gotcha.
I think I wrote down a note. So I got Andrew Brown, Carl Lawson. They're gonna treat him like a defensive end. Sam Hubbard, and they're gonna go Carlos Dunlap, Jordan Willis, Kerry Wynn. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right there. And they're going to go with Billings, Glasgow. That's 8. How many did you have?
That's 10 defensive linemen that I have making it. So 6 defensive ends,
So
4
Ren
defensive
was
tackles.
9. What was your 10?
Oh,
let me hear your 10 again.
So it's Carlos Dunlap, Jordan Willis, Kerry Wynn, Sam Hubbard, Carl Lawson, Andrew Brown, Geno Atkins, Andrew Billings, Ryan Glasgow, and Rennell Wren.
Yeah, the only one that I have that may not make it, I think, is Rennell Wren. Aside from that, the guy Emmanuel Turner's going to get cut. You're going to see a lot of him in week 4, but other than that, that's it.
See, I thought about the guy that we got from Dallas last year, but he got...
Ringo?
Yeah, I really liked him, but the fact that he got that injury, I think it was an ankle injury or something like that, I think is what's really going to hold him off of this roster. I really liked what Ringo did at the end of the season last year and a little bit of what he showed at the beginning of preseason, but then he got that injury. So that, for me, was a reason to hold him off. I went with Rennell Wren just because it seems like they really like him a lot. They've given him a lot of snaps in the preseason, and he's more of a project player, so I don't think that they're expecting much out of him now. But I wonder if you were to put him on a practice squad, if another team, say for instance Seattle, who we're playing week 1, that might want to get a leg up on understanding our defense or our offense or something like that, and they're also thin at the defensive tackle position with injuries that they currently have, he could be a guy, or a team like that could come in and take him. So I think the fact that he has that rare size will be one of the reasons that they keep him. But I do agree with you. If they were to cut somebody among this list, I think it would be Rennell Wren.
I really think it wouldn't probably surprise a lot of people, but in the preseason reps that I've seen, and I even watched a guy, I want to say it was our guy John Sheeran. It might have been somebody else I've seen. They showed his reps. He is so raw. He reminded me of Marcus Hunt when he came out of college. It's almost like he looks like he's so new to playing football,
right,
that I can't imagine him being on a roster, like on a 53-man roster with the needs that we have from the linebacker position. I really, truly, strongly believe Duke Tobin said there's a lot of guys that they're looking at that they're waiting for to get cut coming up.
Right.
I really think that they're going to reserve that spot, and I don't think I think that's going to be the one thing I'm going to probably go there. I don't think he's going to make it, but the sad part about it is that the upside on him is so heavy that I can't see any teams, like I can't see him passing through waivers.
Right.
If they play that game, then somebody will pick him up. Somebody that has a roster that's a little bit more cemented and doesn't have to have, all hands on deck type of roster, like a playoff, brink of playoff type of guy, that somebody that can coach him up.
Right.
That's the type of team that could probably pick them up. I hate to say it, like there's a couple of our rivals I think could really coach up a Renell Wren. I can really see Renell Wren like really striving with the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know why that always pops up in my head.
Right.
But he's like the prototypical guy for them.
Right.
But I just think that the Bengals, if they're really thinking that they're going to win now, he's such a project that I can't imagine them keeping him on the 53.
Right. Got you. Okay. Well, with that being said, I think that this is going to be these next two positions. I think are going to be the hardest ones to gauge, and you kind of spoke on it a little bit. Linebacker. So I've got Nick Vigil, I've got Deshaun Davis, I've got Preston Brown, I've got Hardy Nickerson Jr., I've got Jordan Evans, and I'm ending with Jermaine Pratt. What are your thoughts on the linebacker room? So obviously, from my perspective, I think the opportunity is over for Malik Jefferson.
Yeah, I think the writing's on the wall. I don't even think he wouldn't make it to a practice squad because a team like, I hate to say this, a team like the Steelers that can just utilize him as just a pass rusher, someone that plays that type of football in a 3-4 type system, would absolutely love a Malik Jefferson. So if they cut him, I just think that's the end of the line for him, really. Because like you said, we got Jermaine Pratt, Jordan Evans, Nick Vigil, Deshaun Davis. They're also going to cut, what's the guy, Curtis Akins.
Right.
Who am I missing? 1, 2,
Curtis Akins.
3, 4.
Our linebackers are honestly so trash, I can't even think of anybody else.
Yeah, I'm about to say. All right, so look, Evans, Pratt, Vigil, Davis,
Hardy. I can't believe I'm saying Hardy Nickerson.
Preston Brown, and Hardy Nickerson. And you know what's so sad about it? They don't even need to keep those 6 because they should be going to go get. They should have attacked free agency and got the linebacker that they needed for one.
Right.
That's the first thing. I'll take that to the definitely. There's so many guys that we're not going to go over right now that they could have got. But it's like this is my rationale and this is my thought process. If a position like we're talking about Renell Wren, right, defensive line, his upside is so much higher that you might have to cut a guy just to take on a Deshaun Davis or somebody just because you need somebody to play special teams, or you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you're going to have to keep a linebacker like a Jordan Evans who isn't really that good to cut someone with way more upside from the wide receiver position or the defensive line position. And that's the sad part about our linebacker core. They should really, they really should just roll with 4 and let the other 2 just either go to practice squad or whatever. I think Hardy Nickerson started too many games to hit the practice squad.
Right.
But Nickerson, Deshaun Davis, and Jefferson could roll to me. Like I wouldn't feel any type of way if those guys were. Because there's so many veterans that they could probably just go pick up, make a trade for. You could give up a 6th-round pick for. It's a bunch of veterans out there that want to get traded free agency wise. There are a couple guys still out there too. You got box safeties like C.J. Ward that can play in a linebacker position or whatever. Like or even Eric Berry. You could put him in a box. You know what I'm saying? So to take away from that upside from those guys to just play a guy just because you need linebackers to fill up a roster is like the biggest tragedy of this whole Bengals team.
Well, one thing that I think was said that gives me somewhat a little bit of hope is on the Hobson's choice. Jeff Hobson mentioned that they are interested in trading for a linebacker. So hopefully, he said like if they do go after one, they probably won't sign one unless it's one that's cut, or they'll attempt to trade for one. Now there was, not to digress too much, but there was an article about Miami shopping Raekwon, the linebacker Raekwon. I can't remember his last name. Came from Ohio State. They literally just drafted this kid like 2 years ago, and they're also shopping Kiko Alonso. So it's possible that they could be in the market for a trade as well there. But moving,
Kiko Alonso is just not. I can't feel his coverage.
To be honest with you,
you know what I'm saying? Like that's not the type of guy to me. Like Preston Brown is Kiko Alonso. Like you need coverage.
I understand. I totally understand. But if
I'd
it's
rather take a box safety and just.
if it's between Hardy Nickerson and Kiko Alonso, I gotta go with Kiko. But I agree with you. I think the Bengals' weakness, you made a great point there, is a coverage linebacker. That's what we need. I don't think.
And it doesn't have to be. This is the thing. Like, if you go look at the best Seattle defenses of the, like with the Earl Thomas and the Legion of Boom and everything like that, they had so many safeties that can go into linebacker. Even currently right now, the Patriots let Patrick Chung roll. Like, there's so many guys that play like that linebacker role. What you saw in the preseason or whatever is what you can't do from a safety position is have Sean Williams go one-on-one with a tight end. But in the zones,
Right.
in the zone coverage or something like that,
Right.
and then you got a free roaming box safety or whatever, it works.
Right.
And I just don't know why they don't get out of this mode of like trying to get these prototypical outdated linebackers to like fill in the roster. It just doesn't make sense to me.
No, I totally agree. So moving from the linebacker position to the secondary, I've got them. It looks like I have them keeping 9. It looks like. So this was a tough one for me as well, given that there were a lot of injuries and ups and downs at the position. But I've got it as Drake Kirkpatrick, Darqueze Dennard, Sean Williams, Clayton Fedulum, Jesse Bates, Brandon Wilson, William Jackson III, B.W. Webb, and Darius Phillips. Zim, what do you think about the secondary, or who do you have there?
Hey, I got 9. I got Tony McRae,
Woo!
Devontae Harris, Kavari Russell. Hold on. Scratch that. McRae is gone.
That's what I was saying. I was like, McRae.
All right.
Woo!
But you know what's so crazy? He's built up so much equity with this team. Every time I see a McRae, I think about that playoff game. You know that he was the guy that was right there when Burfict hit Antonio Brown. I
Right.
always think about McRae right there. He was right there.
Right.
That's how decimated we were at secondary. Okay, Devontae Harris, Kavari Russell, Darqueze Dennard, Drake Kirkpatrick, William Jackson, B.W. Webb, Darius Phillips.
Okay. Who you got at safety?
Safety, Brandon Wilson, Jesse Bates, Trayvon Henderson goes to the practice squad, Clayton Fedulum, Sean Williams.
Okay.
So that's 9, right?
Yep, that's 9. I really...
The guys on the outside looking in are Demetrius Cox and Trayvon Henderson. And from a cornerback spot, they're going to probably have to cut Tony Lippett, Jordan Brown, then his practice squad. There's a guy, Anthony Chesley. I'm really going to be checking him out in preseason 4 because I heard a lot of good things from him, and I saw some good reps from him as well. But those are the guys.
Gotcha. Yeah, man, I'm praying and hoping that Kavari Russell makes this roster because I really like him as a depth pick at corner. Special teams, no surprises here. Kevin Huber, Randy Bullock, and Clark Harris. I'm imagining that you had the same. So right now it seems like we both have pretty similar outlooks on the final 53. Obviously, this isn't set in stone because we have to wait until trades that could possibly happen, cuts of specific veterans. There's a lot of things that could change between now until we kick off in Seattle. So, Zim, with that being said, was there anything that you wanted to bring up before we get out of here?
No, I just want everybody to pay attention, I guess, the week 4 preseason. There's going to be a lot of guys to kind of check out for because there are some practice squad spots that everybody's going to be looking for. But the biggest thing to me, like you said earlier, is at linebacker, they are going to have to make a move on somebody.
Right.
Other thing I'll be looking for is 2 pages that have been rumored to say this, but they are now looking at a trade for AJ Green. I've seen that 2 times right now from 2 different sources. One source I don't really trust, but the other one I do trust.
Gotcha.
Other than that, that is something to be on the lookout for, because if you look at the emergence of Damian Willis, you look at what they think that they got from John Ross, you got the emergence of Tyler Boyd. If you could make a trade for AJ Green for a top tier lineman or something like that, would you make it? the Texans and the Redskins have been saying that they're on record that they're looking for a wide receiver and they want a first round talent.
Right.
That's just something to think about.
Me personally, you already know how I feel about this. I'm not trading AJ Green, man. Like unless we're really committed to a full reboot and we don't want to win anymore, I'm keeping AJ Green around as long as possible. But that's just me. Like from what I've heard, I know Hobbs in that same thing said that they're not looking into trading him. They really want to extend him, but I mean, teams tend to hide things like that.
That could change really quick, though. Say the Bengals, let's say worst case scenario. Say the Bengals go 0-4, and then AJ Green comes out healthy, looks healthy. You got to be thinking about the future at that point, right?
Right.
And if a team is willing, let's say Trent Williams is still sitting right now. You know that Billy Price is now officially not what you thought he was. You know that the line might be a problem next year. Let's say you get to a really bad start. AJ Green doesn't make as much sense. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I mean, to me, being that we just spent the first round pick on Jonah Williams and not knowing what we have there, I couldn't trade AJ Green at that point. I could trade Andy Dalton. Now, if we went 0-4,
I just don't feel like Cordy Glenn is going to be healthy enough. I feel like
right.
Dalton, if you look around the league, I just did a fantasy draft earlier today. I mean, on the board were so many quarterbacks, and I'm looking at Andy Dalton, and me not even being a Dalton fan, he is so much better than the second tier of quarterbacks in the NFL.
Right.
And it's just so crazy that as Bengal fans, we don't really like him because we know what happens is if you don't have the talent that we have, that he does drop down to that whole tier with Josh Allen and all those guys like that. I feel like Matthew Stafford, Matt Ryan, and Andy Dalton are all three the same guy, you know?
Right.
And to get rid of that guy, you know, it's hard to find that guy.
I agree, but I would think
it's hard to find that guy.
For me,
would you take the risk? See, when Billy Price thing happens and he's now not the starter, right?
Right.
Now, immediately I went back to all of my notes, and immediately my guy James hit me and said, "Yep, we told you guys you should have got Lamar Jackson." Right. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy, but it's like to take that chance. Franchises get set back for years if you make that mistake. So it's easy for a fan to say, "Yeah, let's get rid of Andy Dalton." And I'm the first one. I'm with you. Trade Andy Dalton.
Right.
But it's so hard to find Andy Dalton. When I'm looking at these guys,
right?
I mean, say Jimmy G or somebody like that goes out there and just thinks it up this year.
Right.
You're going to be looking at a new quarterback. You know what I'm saying? It's just that fast.
No, I agree that Andy Dalton definitely has value, but I play the side of look how valuable he is. You could get some really decent draft picks for Andy Dalton. You could get you could dangle Andy Dalton out in front of the Indianapolis Colts right now and probably hit a home run in terms of the value that you could get for him. But what my concern is I think that Zach Taylor, if it gets to the point where it's not working, he's going to have to get his guy. I'm not going to be here and sit here and be the A.J. McCarron type of guy and say that Ryan Finley, it can be that guy. But I think that if you go 0-4, you trade Andy Dalton, you get your picks to possibly move up to get your quote-unquote guy. I think that Ryan Finley is
a... What does Andy Dalton give you, though? What
I think you could at least get... I think at the most you could get a late first round pick for him and a third. I think you can.
So.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. It would have to be I don't even know that team. What is that team? It would have to be a team on the brink of who is somebody that we think. All right, so say somebody that is playoff bound, right? Like the Browns. You know that say Baker Mayfield went down. You know good and well. It has to be a team that's playoff bound and a team that has a lot of pressure on them at the same time.
You don't think the Indianapolis Colts would trade for Andy Dalton?
They don't have pressure on them to make the playoffs. So now that Luck is now retired, right?
Right.
Their fan base is now sitting back and saying, "Hey, let's tank for Tua." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it has to be a unique team that, like, a team on the verge of the playoffs. Like, think about the Sam Bradford trade. It's got to be a team that's that has a playoff roster, that's on the brink of the playoffs, and then their quarterback goes down.
Right.
And it can't. And the Patriots will be excluded from that. You know that we wouldn't trade with the Browns. So, because think about who's got the most pressure on them. The Browns have the more pressure than any NFL team. They would, without a doubt, trade for Andy Dalton, but Mike Brown would never trade with them. All right, so who else you got? You know that the Steelers are one of those teams that got a little bit of pressure on them, on Mike Tomlin. They would never trade with them. I mean, like, name somebody. I mean, maybe the Texans, somebody like that.
I can't see those teams only because they just drafted a first-round quarterback. So when you talk about the Texans, Browns,
I'm saying like, watch somebody goes down, like Watson goes down.
So here's a perfect scenario, I think, for somebody that would trade for Andy Dalton that's in a difficult space right now. The Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys would trade for Andy Dalton because, number one, they don't want to pay Dak Prescott $30 million. You can get
Dalton's a Texas guy.
He's from Texas, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So I think the Dallas Cowboys would be a team that you would try to dangle Dalton out there for. I'm not sure exactly what you would get back for him, but I think that they would be an ideal team that you could go after.
See, if the Redskins had a better roster, I would say that they would be a perfect team because Gruden would love to have Dalton. That would be somebody perfect that I kept on looking at throughout the offseason or whatever.
I agree with you there. I was looking at them too.
But the roster doesn't match up. Like, see, if the teams don't have pressure on them to succeed, like the Colts don't. Like right now, they're like, well, we need the next Andrew Luck. They're hoping they go 0-16 and they go draft Tua.
Right.
You know, or Herbert or one of those guys like that. They don't have a desire to win. It's got to be a team early in the season that has. So look at this formula. This is why it doesn't happen. It could happen next, like in going to the offseason next year when Andy Dalton's in the last year of his contract, where I think it makes way more sense.
Right.
It's got to be a team that has a playoff roster. And then their quarterback goes down because
I got one for you right now.
The only scenario that Dalton could go and get traded this year is if the Bengals start off 0-3, 0-4,
right,
and Dalton looks decent and he's not hurt. Think about all these variables. They got to go 0-3, 0-4, something like that. He doesn't get hurt, and then a team like that's playoff bound, like the Vikings or something like that. That goes down with their starting quarterback.
I think a team that would have to happen. I think a team like that would be weird, but I think a team like that it could happen to would be like a Carolina Panthers.
They got Will Greer.
I don't know if I could say Will Greer is gonna.
I mean, you don't draft a guy that early and then just say forget him. They're not even counting on Cam Newton to even start week 1. I just don't see the pressure there.
Well, I think that they were initially until he got hurt.
Chiefs, bro, like, listen to me. It's got to be a team. In order for you to get a late first, it's got to be like the Chiefs.
I think one team
like that.
One team that I've been thinking of, and it depends on when this quarterback falls off the cliff, the LA Chargers. I think when Phillip Rivers' time is up, they're gonna need somebody to be that quarterback because they got the talent out there. You talk about talent, Joey Bosa's, the Derwin James. We have to wait and see if Melvin Gordon. Yeah, Derwin's out for like half the season or something like that. Something crazy.
Yeah.
But I think a team like that's like looking for the quarterback of the future might roll the dice on him because I think correct me if I'm wrong, I think Phillip Rivers is playing out this last season of his contract, right?
I think so, yeah.
So, like, if Phillip Rivers was to just be like, all right, I'm retiring, I'm going to pull a Carson Palmer and I feel like it's not getting there, that would be a team I think that we could trade Andy Dalton to. But I think I'm not saying that we should straight up trade him.
Much invested in Dalton. Zach Taylor's got so much invested in him for this current season.
Right.
I just don't see any scenario where they're about to trade him. The only scenario that Dalton gets traded is if this season is anything under 7-9 or lower.
Right.
Then he goes into the last year of his contract, and then you got Finley battling somebody.
Right.
But then think about this: if you end up 6-10, 7-9, you can't even get the quarterbacks that we want.
But
like the quarterbacks that we want, you only need to win 3 or 4 games to get a Tua, a Herbert, or any of those guys that are at the top.
I just think for me personally, I think that they would trade Dalton, which I don't think is likely, but I think that they would trade Dalton before they would trade Green, because I tend to feel like the gap between Andy Dalton and maybe a Ryan Finley or whatever draft pick that they're going to pull in, I think is greater when you look at AJ Green. Even though Damian Willis has played a hell of a preseason, I can't say that he's AJ Green. We still don't know what we have in John Ross yet. Tyler Boyd, I think we know that he's a solid receiver, but even Tyler Boyd himself isn't AJ Green, because it's just, I don't know. I have to see what this team looks like without him.
And I agree with you 100%. But the only caveat to that is just that it's a steep, quick downhill run for wide receivers over 30 years old. It happens very, very fast. I did a fantasy draft today, and I was just surprised at how low Larry Fitzgerald, Deshaun Jackson.
Right.
I mean, I'm not surprised, but
right.
Once you go over that 30-year-old clip, and those are guys that can still ball. Right. There's so many guys that do not get past 32, 33 right. from a wide receiver position.
Right.
It's startling how fast it happens.
Right.
But at the end, on that note, guys, we're going to end the show, whatever. I want you guys to keep on checking with us. Hey, Ace, tell them where they can find you at on social media.
You can find me at New Stripe City on Twitter and Instagram, and you can find me on YouTube under the channel New Stripe City. Zim, where can they find you at?
You can find me on Twitter. It's just Zim WhoDey, ZIM WhoDey. And then on Instagram, it's Zim_WhoDey.
All right, guys. You take it easy. WhoDey.
WhoDey.